As veterans, we struggle to fit in. Taught to never let feelings win. Lost in a world full of fear and pain. We all have hung our heads in shame. When we look up, we see hands reaching out. There is so much support about it. Comes from above and others around. Please take a hand and rise from the ground. Stand up and fight for your life. Walk away from negativity. Don't give in to strife. Show up for yourself. Find your voice. Keep moving forward. You have a choice. Give compassion for the child inside. Healing pain, let hope reside. Lost you will no longer be. Then you can help set others free. Now speak up and with us share the tools that make pain easy to bear. Advocate for others to lighten their load. Use your voice and join our show on Coffee Talk with Bryan and Marie. We heal out loud, PTSD to advocacy.
Boom, man. What's going on, friends and family? Thank you guys so much for joining us with another great episode with Coffee Talk with Bryan and Marie. And as you can see, it's just me right now. We're going live, and the instructor is trying to get on. So Marie is trying to help Mr. Stephen Paige get on so we can get this show on the road. But hey, everybody, welcome. We are actually live. Yes, we're really live this time. And a lot of times when you guys watch us on a Saturday, we are pre-recorded. But right now we're going to be doing this class series with Stephen Paige. He's, got all kinds of certifications, and he has been awesome enough to want to share his, knowledge with all of us. So it is free 99 for everybody to come check this kind of stuff out. But starting today, August 19th, we're going to be doing, and I do got to talk like this because we are going to be putting this on the audio side. So I do kind of got to spell things out a little bit. But thank you guys. And if you guys are watching us live right now, you guys are more than welcome to ask questions, get involved. This is a opportunity to interact with all of us. It's a awesome opportunity to learn some great things. So today is going to be situational awareness. Then we'll have September 2nd. It will be the exit route, evac routes, and rally points. And then September 16th, the multi-layer PACE plan. And then October 5th, we'll do the 72-hour kit. He'll go over the things necessary for that. And then October 19th, networking and vetting. And then on November 2nd, we will finish it off with disaster and psychology. These are all great classes for anybody and everybody. You do not have to be a veteran to get the benefits from these great classes. But right now we're struggling to get our guest on. And so Marie is trying to help him in the background. Now you guys are stuck with me, and now I got to sit here and talk. But if you guys haven't had the chance or didn't notice that Coffee Talk is no longer part of Every Day's a Saturday USMC Veteran Podcast. The podcast took a separation because the different podcasts have a little bit of some similarities, but they also have a lot of differences as well. And we thought that separating the two shows would benefit both shows in terms of algorithm. And unfortunately, we're all bound to that algorithm world when you are working in the media, social media world, and all these platforms. So if you guys haven't had the chance, go check out Every Day's a Saturday USMC Veteran Podcast. And if you're already on that, go over to Coffee Talk with Bryan and Marie, and follow us on any of your favorite platforms. If you guys hadn't had the chance to add us to any of the platforms, feel free to let me know. You can email myself or even Marie. Let me throw up our emails real quick on here. So for Marie, her email is marie@sliderbabe.com, and then you can email me every day's a Saturday at yahoo.com as well. All right, looks like we're gonna get the show on the road. I'm gonna bring Marie on real quick. There she is.
Hey, yeah, apparently I sent a wrong link. So I don't know what happened there. It was kind of funky. So sorry about that, guys. So we have Stephen in the background, and we're so excited to have him here. Thank you, Bryan, for kind of like getting us going. So
yeah, I was like, oh boy, how long do I gotta go? What I gotta stumble and bubble? I could talk, but
yeah, it's all right. Okay, so I am going to read. So as Bryan was saying, we are going to be doing a series of classes. This specific series is with Stephen. It is emergency preparedness, but we also have some other classes planned. We're going to be doing some leadership classes. We're going to be doing some witnessing your trauma classes. And we are also going to be doing one I am setting up about fentanyl overdose. And so that one will be a good one. And other
Bryan Townsend, huh?
Yep.
All right,
Bryan
nice.
has agreed that he's going to come back. And so he's going to talk about, he also has a training, Eagle 6 training program. And he's going to talk about his only 2 milligrams program as well.
That's outstanding. That's great. I love to hear that.
Awareness of overdose. So this one in particular, today we've got Stephen Paige and his class. So Stephen's background and expertise on this specific class: as a U.S. Army veteran who served as a 35 Mike human intelligence specialist in Afghanistan, he holds a degree in counterterrorism studies. Stephen brings deep expertise in military intelligence, tradecraft, and counter surveillance. His background bridges tactical reconnaissance with practical civilian threat detection and drone utility and emergency management. And the class that we're doing today is Advanced Threat Detection and Drone Dynamics. True situational awareness goes far beyond casually scanning a room. This course covers advanced threat detection, identifying personal stalking patterns, and recognizing targeted surveillance. It also addresses modern aerial threats, teaching you how to detect and counter drones used against you, as well as how to deploy drones tactically during a disaster for search and rescue, pathfinding, and situational assessment. One of the reasons why we're doing these classes is we want people to, like, our whole thing is healing out loud, right? PTSD to advocacy. Well, part of that is knowing how to take care of yourself when you're actively being triggered. So we want to encourage, emotional resilience during emergency situations. And so that is why we're doing these classes. And I'm super excited. So Stephen, come on up. Sorry about the mishap. We're excited to hear from you today.
There he is.
Hey,
what
guys.
Up, brother? Welcome.
It's good to see you.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. Thank you, Marie, for the introduction again.
Absolutely, man. Well, you know what? We're going to turn it over to you, brother. And the floor is all yours. And if any listeners out there, if you guys want to, you're watching this and you want to ask questions, go ahead and put the questions in the comment section, and we will bring them up as necessary. And then Stephen will be able to answer any questions you may have. But we appreciate you, brother, for taking the opportunity to come on and, share your knowledge with us. So we're going to give you the floor, brother.
Well, thank you so much, and I really appreciate it. So, hello, everyone. My name is Stephen, as Marie said. I think so with this specific series and this class that I'm going over, the biggest thing is talking about not living in fear and not living in paranoia, because we don't want to live in fear. And the way the world's going, everybody's like so fearful of everything, and some people are even scared of their own shadow. That was one of my biggest traumas coming back from the war, was being so hyper vigilant, and that's part of that PTSD, is being super highly vigilant, that we shut off ourselves to the world. And I don't know if Marie or Bryan, if you guys had that situation with your guys' experience with PTSD.
Oh yeah, I still struggle with that a lot, the idea of like always feeling like you have to prepare for the worst to happen, and I'm doing a little bit better at this, but like, especially when I'm going into a building, it's like, okay, I need to know where I can get out, I need to keep an eye on who I feel is dangerous. When I go to restaurants, I have to sit with my back against a wall. I've gotten a little bit better if I'm with somebody else that I trust. They can sit against the wall because I know they've got my back. But I definitely, have a little bit of a struggle in that.
Yeah, same. I mean, my wife even knows kind of she knows my situational awareness of where I need to sit and stuff like that when we go to eat, things like that. So I've always kind of had that, and I don't necessarily know, if I, I I feel like the day that I don't do that, what's going to happen, right? So I mean, I don't know if I could ever shut that part off of me,
And you won't. And it's just how we are now programmed, as you can, people could say it's a programming that we've kind of adapted to. And I would say the biggest thing is with us being like that is it's better than the alternative. And the alternative, what we call condition white, unaware. And that is 10 times, 100 times, even 1,000 times worse. And so the idea of situational awareness is just being vigilant and observing. That's the whole idea of it. And that's the main core premise that we want to instill, and what I instill in my students is being able to see those things, but not to the point where it's debilitating. It's locking you down. It's more or less you see stuff and it's there. So that's kind of where I first start people is, hey, this isn't to teach you to live in fear or paranoia or any of that stuff like, oh, everybody's the boogeyman. It's the idea of I see stuff and I can be ahead of the curve. Or and a lot of people out there, if you guys get a chance to, there's a great book out there called Left of Bang. And Left of Bang, I encourage everybody to read it. I love it. It was written by a veteran, and it's talking about, if we look at a timeline from left to right, the bang is when the incident happens. Everything prior to that is left, and everything after that is right. And I like to say everybody needs to be prepared for left of bang. That's the idea. So
you're talking about making sure
what
that
I
you're
want to talk
prepared
about
before.
first is go ahead. Yes. And the first thing we want to do to be prepared is having the situational awareness. That's the first thing. So I love the idea of having the premise of the different kinds of, what's the word? We say conditions or levels, but I like to say conditions because you are in a condition.
Sorry, guys,
So
we're having a bit of
what
a
I think,
connection, a connection
oh,
lag here. So,
yeah, sorry about that. I live in the country, so internet's not the best where I live.
okay. You can continue on. Yeah, sorry, guys. We'll try and push through as much as we can. So go ahead, Stephen.
All right. So the biggest thing with our conditions is we don't want to be in condition white, which is unaware, sucked into our phones, sucked into our own little worlds. I mean, how many people do we see that are just so like, oh, here's my, I grab hold of my phone and I'm just sucked into it. Like it's constantly a thing I see. I don't know about, I mean, especially with kids. I mean, and teenagers and young adults. I mean, it doesn't help. And the more technology we have, the more we get distracted. I mean, how many times have you guys heard of accidents because people were texting and not paying attention to the road? I
Well, yeah,
mean,
our phones have definitely
Maria,
become.
oh, go ahead, Bryan.
Yeah, cell phones definitely have become a major distraction. I feel like, and I feel like that's one of the things a lot of people are getting lost. You go to any restaurant and you look around, and there's the majority of people on their phone. You know what I mean? And even if you go to a movie theater nowadays, right? And you're supposed to be there watching a movie, and people are just on their phone. I actually one time, I mean, I don't have the best ability just to chill. So I mean, when I heard the phone going off, I had to look over, and I'm like, you can go watch your fucking phone outside. You know what I mean? Like, this isn't the place. So, it's just one of those things. We've gotten so dependent actually on the phones too. I feel like people just feel like someone leaves their phone somewhere and they turn into a panic attack. You know what I mean? People are more aware of where that phone is than what the hell is going on around them. So I mean, that is one thing that is it's just a major distraction.
I agree. I struggle with that same thing.
Yeah,
I mean, I think
100%.
everybody kind of does, the doom scrolling kind of thing, and everybody gets lost in the reels and stuff like that. But I mean, you could be doing that an hour later, and then like, oh shit, did I miss my flight? You know what I mean? Like that's how crazy it is. And I see people driving now, that like they cannot drop the damn phone while they're driving, and it's like, I'm like, oh God, get away from this fool, because they're like, one hand on the steering wheel, one hand on the thing, and then shoot, like, what are we doing?
Yeah, it is a very, very bad thing. I hate that we've become so dependent on it, and that's where we need to kind of break the chain. We need to break that habit. So the first thing we need to do when we're dealing with when it comes to situational awareness is we need to figure out what the baseline is. Now, obviously, when we're in a new area, I need to figure out where I am first off. So before I even go into an area, I take kind of notes, mental little notes of how people are dressed, how people are acting, how people are reacting to me. So I would say the first thing you need to do is figure out what the baseline of how people act and talk and move and communicate. And once you have that baseline, that's the first pillar you need to establish is, oh, because the way me and Marie might talk and interact with people, because we're from the general area, will can be completely different than where Bryan is down in Southern California. You know, SoCal, whole different, whole
Yeah,
different world.
for
And
real.
it's what you want to do. And I would say, and it's even worse when you go overseas and you're a whole new culture, a whole new language, whole new environment. So you need to do a little bit of research where if you're traveling. If you're in your home area, you kind of know what your baseline is based on, because you've been there for so long. If you're new to the place, obviously that's the same thing. It's like you got a baseline. We can look for what's normal and what's not normal or abnormal. And that abnormal stuff is what makes our brain kind of shift gears. And I kind of say it's like a light switch. Now we talked about being condition white or unaware. That's where we must look at where we are as a person, not paying attention. We're absorbed in our own little world. And then there's the other side of that spectrum, which is red, which is we're so hyper vigilant. We're ready to take action immediately. Like we're in the action. We're actually doing something. That's, whether that is we're finding a place to hide, that's getting cover. We're trying to, we're trying to evade, escape, whatever it is. Or in some cases, like we just saw recently with the Twin Falls shooting up here in Idaho,
At the
a
In-N-Out.
man went from aware, yellow, condition yellow, to red. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that's just,
And if anybody watches,
that's definitely one of the things that
go
I
ahead.
was thinking about is check out that situation at In-N-Out in Iowa. All these people are going through the drive-through. It's just a normal day for them. Some of them probably scrolling right on their phone. A guy gets out of his car with a freaking rifle and just starts boom shooting into the car windows. And I mean, my gosh, bro. I mean, what a horrible situation. And I mean, that's just how quick things can change. You can be just going through a drive-through like normal and have no clue that just boom, someone gets out of their car, decides I don't know what the hell that guy's motive was, but my God.
Well, Bryan, didn't you also share a story recently about a veteran that went off on another veteran?
Yeah. Yeah, and it was in his own front yard because he was hanging up flags and stuff like that. He's super patriotic, and the other veteran, I guess, just didn't feel the same way. And I mean, some people take offense to the American flag nowadays, which blows me away. But it was that crazy, and the guy was a Vietnam veteran, and the other guy was a lot younger of a veteran. And I mean, he was just walking outside, hanging his flag, just another day, and gets knocked, killed by his own neighbor, who he's talked to before,
So yeah, it's kind of hard to sometimes, and maybe Stephen, you'll talk about this in a little bit, but it's hard to be able to recognize when somebody switches from one to the other sometimes. And so as you're talking about, kind of doing that recognition with yourself on, which phase are you in, how what is a good option for being able to view when somebody makes that switch on the other side?
That's a good question. And actually, that was the next thing I was going to get into, which is what we call pre-attack indicators, or we also call it, we also say it's kind of our the abnormalities of that baseline of even like an interaction between two people. You know, if I notice some a little bit off of, oh, this person is acting a little bit different, you know, than what I'm used to, that's where that baseline comes in. And that's why we have to establish it, is we have to establish their baseline, not only how we interact, but how people interact with us, and we see how they act. So the pre-attack indicators can be as simple as like, you know, aggression, but like in a very passive way. You know, it could be just certain little speech, it could be certain little, you know, hand gestures, you know. And it kind of sucks when you're in a veteran community, because, you know, we do the knife hand, and we also flip each other off as a joke. And and that's the problem, is like that sort of stuff. So like our culture is a little bit different than the everyday culture, which is nice though, because if somebody's sitting there flipping us off and that's not normally how they interact with us, that's a pre-attack indicator that they are aggressive towards me. So there's your pre-attack indicators. One thing that we noticed a lot with pre-attack indicators is what we call the predator stare, or the other idea is like the hyperfixation. You see this a lot with like attacks prior to, like, on celebrities or on sports icons or stuff like presidents, political candidates, is you'll have their attacker literally stare at them, and that they don't break eye contact with that person, even if they're moving, they're following them and no one else. That's kind of hard, like for me, like when I'm doing speeches and seminars and I have people following me when I'm up on stage, it's kind of like my little you know, alarm sounds going off in my head, because I'm like, oh, is this a pre-attack indicator? But that's why that's only one. The other thing is nervous fidgeting. So if somebody's fidgeting and kind of either pacing, or they're kind of in that hyper, like, I need to get energy out, or kind of hyper about it, that's one of the things they'll do. They'll also fidget with an item. For instance, like if it's a weapon, they'll fidget with their firearm, their knife, their, you know, whatever they're planning on to attack with. So the idea of having the baseline and then understanding some of these pre-attack indicators is a big thing. We see it now, like if you watch any of the security camera footage of abductions and kidnappings, you see the person who's, you know, trying to take the person, they're hyper vigilant in the sense of focusing on them. They're mirroring their movements. So like if I stop, they stop. If I move, they move, kind of stuff. That's kind of another thing that I see a lot with pre-attack indicators. So Marie, you say that light switch that we have to be aware of. The first thing is look how they're interacting with us, both verbally and non-verbally, their body language, their mannerisms, their, you know, their facial expressions, and then also look at their body language of how they're acting towards us, in the sense of, are they very nervous around us because they're, you know, they want to attack us, or stuff like that. So there's a many things that we have to do.
Question, Stephen. Now, going into a situation, what would be the first thing that someone should probably check out first? You know, like, I mean, for me, I kind of always look for exits, and then kind of the next thing I'm looking at is people. You know, is there any particular order when you walk into a situation that you should kind of assess? Is there like kind of a breakdown in terms of how you assess a situation going into it?
Yes, it depends on where I'm at, whether I'm out in the rural environment or an urban environment, inside the building, outside the building, that kind of dictates it. And it's even gotten more expansive because of the drone introduction to the world that we have now, especially with commercial drones. But the first thing I usually look at is, yes, I research where I'm going. And before I even arrive on there, you brought up the entrance and exits. I'm looking at infills and exfills. So infills, exfills are my routes. How do I get out of there if I can get to a vehicle? And also, is there multiple ways to get in and multiple ways to get out? So I look at that. Then I look at the building, like you said, Bryan, the exits and entrances, and I start planning. And we'll talk about this later in another class, pace planning. I'll start pace planning, which we talked about in the last class. Oh, how many entrances and exits can I use if I need to? So Bryan, you bring up a good point. And then once I interact with people, the first thing I look at is people's hands, because these are what's going to hurt me. Because they're and I hate how people say, oh, a gun's a weapon or a knife's a weapon, or, you know, this, that, or the other, baton. I'm sorry. I can pick up a chair. I can grab a chunk of metal. I can grab a piece of wood, and, you know, I could, you know, grab a laptop, and it's a weapon. You know, that's the thing is, though, is it's not the weapon, it's a tool.
You know what I see is how many people carry these.
They're the threat to the person physically.
You know what I see is how many people carry around these big freaking, you know, water bottles now that have handles on them and easily become a weapon. I've watched high schoolers get domed, you know, in a fight with these things. So, I mean, good point, man. I mean, a lot of things are weapons, and these things now, especially as heavy as they are, and once again, a handle at that, it really becomes quite a brutal weapon. And the straws that come with them, some of them like have like metal straws. I mean, yeah, I mean, they definitely can become a weapon. That's where my mind goes. Thank you, Peter, man. Thank you for joining.
Thanks, Bryan.
In.
You just put another thing on my list.
Bring it in. Yeah, because I mean, my wife's gotten, you know, quite a few of those things, and when they drop on the ground or something, you know, you don't, God forbid, your foot be underneath one of those things, it'll break your foot. I mean, they are heavy duty. So yeah, I've already, and I've watched like I said, a video of a kid get domed by one of these things, just bink, you know, like, wow. All right, maybe they shouldn't let them take them to school anymore, man. Damn. What happened to the thermoses?
Yeah, I agree. So, yeah, that's the thing is so I look at people's hands, and the next thing I look for is their hips. I look for any bulges, anything that's potentially in their pockets, any of that kind of stuff, where I can be that's where I think with, like, if you look at it, anything we can hide on our person, it usually comes from the hips, or in around the hips, inside a jacket, whatever. It's usually around those places. So first thing I look at is entrances and exits, hands, and then hips. That's kind of the thing. And then after that, I start looking at mannerisms. I start looking at facial expressions. I start looking at people and how they interact with the people around them and me, especially me. So that's kind of like how I break it down, you know, when I'm looking at stuff. But not only is that, I'm also, like, when I'm looking at entrances and exits now, I'm looking at, I have to look from the 2D world. So, like, not just eye level, but I have to look above especially because of drones. We are now living in a 3D world with drones and stuff, the eye in the sky, and people can easily, we thought when we were in the military, oh, we could easily just put a drone up in the air, eye in the sky, and we thought we were the the best thing in the world. It was so awesome to have. Now anybody can buy a drone, throw it up in the air, and they have eyes on you. So we have to be aware of that drone threat. Yeah, go ahead, Marie. What do you got for me?
So I was just thinking something as well. So I'd like to hear a little bit more about the drones, but also can you talk about that idea? And like, okay, as we're having this conversation, it is not to make people frightened of going anywhere, but I think that it's important to notice as well all the flippin' hidden cameras that are
Well, these
everywhere
flock
nowadays.
cameras too, they're
All
talking about
yeah,
lately.
all of the cameras, because everybody, so everybody, you've got the hidden cameras, and then you've got the drones, but you also have like people on their phones that are secretly recording and stuff like that. So how do you address all of that?
Oh man, that is a hard thing because oh the oh, man, you got the drones, you got flock cameras, you got man, like you said, people recording you. It's
Ring
how it is.
cameras.
The
There's ring
best thing
cameras
is
on a lot of houses too. You know what I mean? A lot of homes have ring cameras or security cameras that catch a lot, and they can zoom in and stuff. I mean, there's a lot of cameras everywhere now.
so the biggest thing I can suggest, just knowing they're there. And like you said, Marie, the whole idea of not being paranoid, just know that they're there. But with cameras, turn it around. That's now a tool for you, because if something does happen and you're around, you can address with, whether it is your, oh man, what is it? Like something happens, you can say, hey, you can go to the authorities and say, hey, there's a camera here, 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 here. And they can find that perpetrator. So the more aware of this kind of stuff is, yeah, people can use it against you, but you can use it against other people to protect yourself. The other thing is if you know that, hey, you're being, like we brought up about drones. Drones are a thing. If you can purposely walk that drone or drive that drone into a bunch of cameras, you will have two things could potentially happen. One, that drone could get beyond line of sight and potentially have radio interference because of those cameras, and it could go crashing down because it doesn't have any signal. The second thing that could potentially happen is it literally walks right into certain things, like for instance, like it could be high enough or low enough that a camera could catch it, and now you have video surveillance, and you can either do a FOIA request, or you can even just tell the cops, say, hey, I walked past this camera, go get the video footage, go request the video footage, and now they have now they have video footage of that specific drone. Also apply to people. This can be applied to stalkers. This could be applied to any of that kind of stuff. Surveillance on you, where you can use it to your advantage.
Oh shoot, we lost him. There he is. All right.
Oh, no, sorry about that. So we want to be kind of using our cameras to our advantage, not to our disadvantage, if you guys understand what I mean by that. So thank you, Maureen, for bringing that up, because it is a big thing, and it is the hot topic right now with these flock cameras, because they have been abused. people have hacked into them and abused them. So we can use them against our adversaries if, we are being stalked or any of that sort of stuff.
Well, in
So
more than ever,
the
in more
first
than
thing
ever,
we want to do with that drone. Oh, yeah, go ahead.
yeah, and more than ever, I mean, when it comes to going out into the public, you basically give up your rights. I mean, you can be videoed anywhere. When you're in public, you're basically, you can be camera from any angle or anything. You give up that right as a person when you walk out in the, when you're in your private of your own home and stuff like that. That's the difference. But people got to understand that when you go out there, anybody can camera, sit there and take a video of you. There's no law against it.
I also just wanted to make a comment, and you'll probably get into this later, Stephen. And so, if you will, you don't need to answer. But one thing, like we talk about what to look out for, right? And we talk about, like you made the comment about yourself, making sure that you're in the right, threat level, and stuff like that, like kind of staying in that middle ground where you're paying attention but not too hyper vigilant. But the other layer that I think needs to be discussed at some point is, how do I put this? Attackers, many times, I'm not saying always, but attackers many times know who they can victimize based on your own body language. And, like one of the shitty things is, predators, they can usually tell when somebody is not connected or not protected and stuff like that. So one thing that I wanted to bring up is what are some of those things that you can do to I know we can never completely prevent an attack, right? Assholes are assholes. They're everywhere. But what are some of those things that you can do to make yourself less of a target? Like, I know, for instance, it's like being confident when you're going out and you're doing something, not having your head in your phone while you're walking around, but like actually paying attention, looking at people. What are some of the other things that you can do to kind of make yourself less of a target, if that makes sense?
Oh man, that's a hard thing, because it's true. When we're dealing with people in the sense of like looking to attack us, yes, your body language. And that's where that vigilance comes in, because if you literally look at someone and you look at, like, you show them, I see you, that is enough of a deterrence that they might go, oh, okay. So looking around, we used to say all the time in the military, have our head on a swivel. I mean, how often do we hear that? So my biggest thing is if we have our head on a swivel, that, and looking around, and it's not just looking, it's actually seeing. Looking is just like, oh, I looked over this, but seeing is detail. So if I'm looking at my tablet, I just skim over something. But if I actually sit there and I see, that's where it comes in to, okay, I'm getting details. I'm getting, for instance, besides us, if I'm sitting there scanning you, I'm looking at your hands, I'm looking at your hips, I'm looking at your facial expressions, but also I'm looking at, like, for instance, a good thing, tattoos. If I have my tattoos and I can say, hey, this person has so many tattoos, I know they had it on this arm, or they had this scar, this birthmark, something that they can't change, that's something that I can use as indicators later on, but like, okay, this person is following me, or this person is stalking me, or hey, this person can be a threat, or if they have been a threat or been threatening, I can use that to give to the authorities. So just by being observant makes, because the thing is predators, like you said, they're observing you. It's just like you look at like any kind of big cat. They stalk their prey. They wait. They look at the one, and they sit there and they look at the herd, and they figure out which one can they attack. But if you notice, the animals that are up and they're looking around constantly, they're the ones that get away. And they're the ones that stay alive. The ones that are unaware, they're usually the ones that get eaten. And that's unfortunately the world we've turned into. Is, we say, oh, we're better than the animals, we're better than this, but there's predator and prey, and then there's the middle ground where you have the sheepdog. I like to say wolves and sheep. You have the wolf, which is the predator, you have the sheep, which is the prey, and then you have the people like I try to strive to be, and I try to strive others to be, the sheepdog. So that's kind of the idea. So, and let's talk about real quick about, we talked about documentation, seeing stuff, using your own cameras to document people and document things. Like you brought up, Bryan, about people are constantly filming. Well, you can too. I can record back, and I can use that as evidence. So it's a give and take world. Like, we have to be worried about, well, instead of worrying about it, how can we turn that into our advantage? So that's kind of the thing I want people to think about is, like you said, Maria, at the beginning, don't live in fear and stuff like that. But the other aspect we have to be aware of, and the nice thing is our phones are great technology because we can use them to our advantage. So one other thing I want people to be aware of, and with the situational awareness, is stalkers, surveillance, and whether that's criminal surveillance, professional surveillance. The idea of this is you also have, what are they called? Air tags. People use them for tracking. They're a great tool, but people can also turn around.
I was just going to say, I have heard horror stories about these tags, and I actually had a moment of panic, a couple weeks ago, just myself. And so I have PTSD. I'm also in the process of getting diagnosed with OCD. And so when I feel fearful, it starts going round and round and round in my head 50 billion times, and I have a hard time stopping that. And so what happened is I just had this like random thought, what if someone put a tracker on my car? And I actually like pulled up to a police station, and I searched my car at the police station, because I was like, okay, if someone's tracking me, I know I'm going to be at the police station and I'm going to be okay. And so I went through and like searched underneath my car. And so it's just funny that you bring this up, because that is a very real threat that's out there.
It is, but you know what, to kind of maybe ease your mind a little bit on that part, and I don't know how accurate this is, but usually if you are carrying around a cell phone or something to that effect, it will alert you that there is an air tag trying to, that is in your area. I mean, we've had some of my little, my son's friends come over, right? And then they come over with their cell phones. Well, their parents have air tags on there. So when they come in, it basically saying, oh, someone has an air tag. So they do have a feature, but the problem is not, if you're not carrying around a smartphone or something to that effect, you are someone that is way more susceptible to this happening. But if you do have your smartphone, they do have alerts, and I don't know how accurate it is for everything, but I do know, like, I've gotten them.
Yes, so you're bringing up a good point. Our devices can help us. Again, they can hurt us, but they can also help us. So yes, there is, even on the Samsungs and on Galaxies, all that, there is apps as well as built-in devices that will indicate an unknown Bluetooth, because usually it's run by Bluetooth or by Wi-Fi, and it will say that. It'll say, hey, this is an unknown device around you. I am a very, very big advocate of that. So I, for instance, will use that to my advantage. Now, if I can, now, Marie, you brought up a good point, like, oh, I can go to certain locations and do that sort of stuff and look for one. Yeah, you can physically look for one, or you can use your phone to help you find it if it is there. If it's not there, then okay, at least you're being vigilant. At least you're paying attention that it is there. If you get a, like you said, Bryan, if you get an indicator, oh, this is in my area, okay, be aware of it. You know, look for it when you have when you're safe, and then see if it's happening. We use them. I use them. I put trackers on my vehicles to know where my vehicles are, to make sure if they get stolen or something gets stolen, it's good. Putting air tags or stuff in your, if you have little kids, there's nothing wrong with putting an air tag on their backpack or something, so you know where they're at. It's kind of like having putting a tracker on their phone. Oh, yep, I know where little Susie is because here it is on my phone. Certain things like that can be used to our advantage, but we have to be aware that it can be used to our disadvantage too. So it's this give and take, and it's all about the goalpost shifting. We learn something. We used to use this in the military all the time. They learn, we do something, they learn how to defeat it, so we change our tactics to address that and constantly stay ahead of the game. So this whole one-upping each other kind of thing. So that's how you have to look at it. But so Marie, one thing that'll help that I will give you is there's a really quick thing I want to give people for whether they're being surveilled, whether they're being stalked. There is a certain thing that we use is called the rule of 3. And I love the rule of 3 for a few things. One is if people are, how to explain it? If people are giving me off these indicators, hey, they might be a potential threat. One thing that can even get there before I even get to that point is the rule of 3. So if I notice the same person or vehicle in 3 different locations at 3 different times and with those locations over 3 different distances. So if I have to go a certain distance and I know this distance over is a lot further, it's a different amount of distance, and they're following me. The first time, that's interesting. The second time, that's coincidence. And then the third one, yep, okay, yep, I'm being followed. Now, for me, where I live in a small town, oh, that happens all the time because there's not a lot to go to, and there's only so many places. So even when I notice somebody on my third one, yeah, I'm not going to immediately confirm it for where I live, but like if I was living in like a bigger city, like let's say Salt Lake City, 100% I'd be like, yeah, this person's following me. If I was living in San Diego, 100%, yep, this person's following me after the third time. So that's something that we want to kind of use is so the idea of this is so real quick recap. Be aware of your surroundings. Don't just be looking at eye level, look up, see what's out there, look and not only look up, but like if we're living in like high-rise buildings, whether they're 2-story above, be looking around so that we can see if we're being surveilled. Look for those cameras. Look for the baseline of how people act. Then the other thing I want people to think, real quick recap, is to remember, don't be in condition white where you're unaware, you're sucked into your phone, you're sucked in your own little world. Don't be at red all the time where you're ready to take action at a moment's notice and I'm ready to go. There's that middle ground where there's aware and heightened awareness. Be more in the aware. I see stuff, I know it's there. The heightened awareness is more of, okay, I see stuff and now I'm zooming in on this specific thing. That's heightened awareness, or what we call condition orange. Be more in the yellow. then once you're in that yellow and you start aware, you looking around, you're seeing this stuff, just be cognitive and always have in your head a plan of how do I get out? How do I react? What am I going to do? Because if you don't already have that in your head, then you're behind the curve. So that stuff is what I would say. And then when it comes to being followed, whether it is by a drone, a vehicle, or a person, be aware of the rule of three. If you notice it at 3 different locations over 3 different times or days at 3 different and over 3 different distances, you are definitely being followed. It's the first time it's interesting, the second time that's coincidence, third time yeah, I'm paying attention. So that's kind of a recap. Now the last thing I want to give to somebody is there is a big thing now, which is our cyber situational awareness. So I am a big advocate of this. Your digital footprint will give you away. One thing I am a big advocate of, if you are going on a vacation or you love to post to social media, hey, I'm here, and you tag that location, you just told anybody that's following your social media page where you're at. Or, hey, going on a vacation to Hawaii for 3 weeks. Well, if somebody's following your Facebook page that you don't really know or trust, or it's just like you just hit,
Your
oh yeah,
home
confirm my
is
friendship.
open.
Or if you're using just exactly, you're about to get robbed. So, or your car's going to get stolen, or you got so many things you could just jump into with that. You could have
And
somebody
people
waiting
have
when you get back, especially when you say that.
and people have gotten good with like being able to like read what's behind them and stuff like that, and they're like they can look behind the screen and they're like, oh, I know exactly where that person's at, you know what I mean? So uh, whenever you're basically putting yourself out there for everybody to see, you're really opening up yourself up, right?
So
Yes, and oh, go
I
ahead,
was
Marie.
just I was just gonna say, Stephen, we are running low on time, but I wanted to say with this cyber stuff, we could do a whole class on that, and I think that that would be phenomenal. Let's totally add that into the series at some point. But I wanted to say that if somebody has been listening and they are like really wanting to know a little bit more about this kind of stuff, where can they go to get more information on this, and where can they go to contact you to get more information? So where can they search for it on their own, and then also where can they contact you for it as well?
Yeah, great question. And yeah, you're right. The whole cyber is a whole different new ball game. It's something I've just fairly really dip my toes into. So real quick, when it comes to finding this stuff out, honestly, just Googling, hey, situational awareness training is a great thing. What I would say is this, is I am a big advocate of look at your guys who are former military, who are certified instructors. So like if we are here in our in the Mountain West region, I obviously, people can contact me. They can look me up on venomtacticaltraining.com, and they can contact me through my website. They can also they can contact me through my email, which is venomtacticaltraining@gmail.com, if they have questions. I'm more than willing to help anybody and give people the time and day, because it is, if they're really serious about it, it is important. If they're looking for another good resource, I would say that's really good out there, is there are some good YouTube videos out there. One I would definitely look at is there's a company called Fieldcraft Outpost. It's run by another veteran called Mike Glover, who's based out of Utah. He's got some great videos on situational awareness.
What was that called?
I'm trying. Fieldcraft Outpost. And another good company that has some really good situational awareness, that has videos about it, is there's a company called UF Pro. They're from Europe, but they put out YouTube videos, and they got a really good one on situational awareness that I would highly recommend people. So it doesn't have to be, hey, go get it formally trained. Like, there are some really good YouTube videos out there, but make sure they're from reputable sources. Look at their following, look at their background, look at who they are as the presenter and stuff like that. So, but yeah, I thank you guys so much for having me. Yeah, this class was normally like a 3 or 4 hour class that I teach in person. So, but yeah, please reach out if you have any questions, and I'm more than willing to help.
Yeah, we know that there is so much more that we can talk about, and our purpose of these classes to just kind of get our listeners thinking, and to get them started to pay attention, and get them to be interested in, oh, hey, this is something that I need to care about. Now, where can I go to learn more? So we really appreciate you coming and just giving this brief interview. We know that it's difficult to kind of like condense all this information, and we know that, we've had a little bit of connectivity issues, but we're so grateful that you were here and that you're willing to share your expertise with us. And we are super excited to continue with the series with you.
Yeah, thank you guys so much. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely, brother. All right, friends and family, that was awesome. I know we did have some connection issues. We'll try to work on that because we're not going to be done here. Here is the schedule coming up. We will be doing on September 2nd the exit route, evac routes, and rally points. September 16th, we'll be doing the multi-layered pace plan. October 5th, we'll be doing the 72-hour kit. October 19th, networking and vetting. November 2nd, we will be doing the disaster psychology, and we may be adding the cyber portion as well.
And then we're going to be ending this series in November over at Cash Coffee again. We're super, super excited to partner with Cash Coffee again. We're going to do a live Stop the Bleed class where Stephen is going to be presenting a class. We have a certain number of available slots for in person. And if you go in person, Stephen will be teaching the class. We will be broadcasting live. And if you go to the class, you will leave with a certificate about stopping the bleed. And so if you are interested in that, reach out to us. We can get you in the slot. And if you join us online, we can give you resources on where to take the class yourself to be able to get your own certificate. But this is a super exciting partnership to have Cash Coffee involved with us again. So
yeah, it's always a pleasure having them in, and they pretty much have a museum at their coffee shop. So it's always a treat to go in there, and, you're going to have to give us the tour again. But yeah, this is awesome, and be looking for other classes, guys. You will start seeing us more live. If you see us during the week, we are actually live. If you see us on Saturday, that's our pre-record.
Yeah, yeah. Sorry.
And Saturdays we drop on the Facebook and the YouTube side, and that is a pre-recorded show. That's just to give you guys an opportunity. I know some people, everybody has their different listening platforms. Everybody, it's hard to kind of hit everybody. But if you do listen to us on on Monday, you will catch us on audio, and then on Saturdays we drop on the YouTube side, and as well as Facebook. But if you do have Spotify and I get no credit for this. And that's kind of the platform I like to listen to my podcast, because it breaks it up into chapters and things like that. And you also can watch video on there, and it's completely free. Yeah, I think you have to listen to some stinking ads here and there, but for the most part, it's not that bad. But anyways, Peter, brother, thank you so much, man, for always popping in and supporting. You are one hell of a supporter, man, and I love that you come in and interact. You're not afraid to ask questions. You're not afraid to get involved in the conversations. I love the conversations you and I have on the backside. Facebook Messenger and stuff like that. Really appreciate you, brother, and I really appreciate anybody that stopped by to watch us. We really appreciate the support. I know, everybody comes by, says hello, and goes through, but we appreciate it, and we hope everybody out there is having an amazing day. Please don't forget to like, share the show, get this out there for the masses. That way we can get all our brothers and sisters stories out there, as well as give them some of these amazing classes that are free 99, and take advantage of that. It is something that not always is available, but we're trying our best to kind of give our brothers, sisters, a way of living life more comfortable, or just kind of getting a little bit more at ease. I think a lot of us are uptight all the time, right? So, including myself. But anyways, don't let the day kick your ass. You got anything else you want to say real quick, Marie?
If you guys have an idea for a class that you want to help with emotional resilience, especially while you're being actively triggered, please reach out to us, and we'd love to do a live with you as well. So Marie@sliderbabe.com, or you can schedule a networking call at sliderbabe.com. So we look forward to talking to you guys. And as always, email us your stories if you want us to share. Come listen and participate with us. And we're just glad that you guys are here. So thank you.
Hell yeah. And don't you dare leave us either. You need everybody here with us. So, hey, we'll see you guys on the next show. And don't let the day kick your ass. Make sure you're out there kicking it. We'll see you guys.
Thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe.